Thanks for sharing that. It's very, yeah, I guess that's a good example of your attempt of codified thought and speech. So definitely black self respect right there. Um, Another one is during the existence of white supremacy, racism. Oh, this is from 404. It's from 404 as well. During the existence of white supremacy, racism, and according to compensatory counter-racist logic, any white person who is able to think, speak, and act to end white supremacy and who does not do so should be regarded as a racist suspect, suspected white supremacist. So this is one of the many logical reasons behind that term, suspected racist suspects, suspected white supremacists. And I definitely understand the logic. It makes a lot of sense. White people definitely have the power and like institutional backings to produce a system of justice. They just refuse to, which is kind of suspicious because the system that they maintain and allow to operate on planet Earth is a system that needs the death of children, the death of all people, but mostly non-white people and mostly black people as well. So it's very suspicious for a white person to allow such a system to exist and to do nothing about it. So I definitely appreciate and understand the term racist suspect and suspected white supremacists. Very necessary. Which I had knew this, knew these concepts much earlier in my life. I would have survived a lot of mistreatment and violence and terrorism um, more effectively and in years prior. I'm just gonna pause there, see if folks have things to chime in with, share.
As long as you are planning the next battle, you have not lost the war. And I believe that that's what we are doing right now. We're countering racism by learning and reading and doing the work and asking questions. So this quote is very near and dear to me.
Yeah, I appreciate that quote a lot, because very true. All is not lost unless we have given up and began to participate in zeroistic thinking. Um, 405. White supremacy racism is the greatest, simplest, most powerful, and efficient political and religious idea ever put into practice among the people of the known universe. Its power over people is all engrossing. No political experiment, philosophy, or religion has yet to equal or overcome it. So this allows me to just refine my code of dealing with people who want to talk about religion. So my response to that will be like, I'm really I'm just not concerned in learning about any religion unless it's the religion of white supremacy, which I suspect to be the most powerful religion. And unless your religion is more powerful and effective than white supremacy, I do not care or want to hear about this religion, this Jesus, this Mary, any of that anymore. Yeah, it is part. It makes a lot of sense. Religion has been very detrimental to diminishing the confusion amongst non-white people. I may be incorrect, but I think that's the case.
No, I don't think you're incorrect. There's like um, on on every block where I reside, uh, it's like two, three church on a block. So, and we're still in the same problems. We're still having the same problems. So, no, you are not incorrect.
Yeah, and that's a great and this next quote definitely ties in into like what all and what religion, just like all of the 9 areas, when white people are waging war in all of those 9 areas. Um, this is what happens. This is what happens to our brain computers, our minds, our beings. This is from 406. The system of white supremacy racism is the most powerful prison institution among the people of the known universe. And all of its inmates, victims, non-white people, have become institutionalized and mentally warped. And this mentally warped can mean a lot of things. And due to the system of white supremacy, there could be like an infinite amount. I do mean infinite amount of incorrect things that a non-white person can be prompted to do due to their just just that just due to the like the the, the abomination of the things that is embedded into our psyche and into our thoughts, our thought, speaking, and behavior from the system. So we could do literally anything, and then it could be something very very incorrect that could harm a lot of people, scar a lot of people for a very long time, or cause a non-white person to go to greater confinement or to get hunted down by race soldiers. So we have been mentally warped to a fatal degree, and just 2021, the evidence is like in our faces every single day by what the white supremacists have been successfully programmed us to do, and it's just crazy. It's crazy. Uh, yeah, gonna go ahead, Mr. Ray 150.
That ties into the top of page 407. It says, beware of people who try to increase your needs. The best way to have a lot is to need a little. And everywhere that we look around, there are constant advertisements. You need this, you need that. And with the way that the white supremacists have things set up, it seems that it's easy for victims to get into a gluttonous mentality, very greedy. And I suspect that we do those things to ease the effects of being subject to the system of white supremacy. I mean, Milan.
Yeah, and I just what you said just allows my brain computer to receive new information and to connect more of these dots created by white supremacy. There's a phenomenon called hoarding. And a lot of, from my experience, I walked into a lot of victims of racism's homes, and we're just crowded with material trinkets and just stuff that is not necessary as far as I'm concerned. And perhaps this hoarding of things, hoarding of trinkets, material nonsense is us trying to soothe ourselves from the many incorrect feelings that white supremacy gives us and instills in us, and just trying to alleviate the trauma of white supremacy by getting all these things to feel something that's missing, which is justice, which is like peace on planet Earth, of being able to maybe turn on any sort of device and not get a message that says kill black, despise black. So yeah, I think this hoarding is a symptom, is a result of us being trained to get more. More is better. Get us to buy things that requires us to get get insurance on that thing and get maintenance. It's just a giant scam to use this concept of money that white people totally control more. Thanks for
I
sharing.
definitely agree. Um, I'm in the process at the moment of decluttering, so I could try to become a minimalist. And yeah, it's like the more I have, the less space I have, the more cleaning, the more organizing. It's just really stressful to have all these things, all this stuff. I'm like, why do I need so many pairs of socks? You know, yeah, it's some nail polish or this or that. It's just all after a while. It's just too much. It's just clutter. Just trying to soothe myself. Yes.
Understood. I think socks are in wartime. Socks are very important. If Vietnam movies have taught me anything, but I
Yeah,
understand.
but you don't need I don't need 20 pairs of socks. There's only 7 days in the week. I don't need 20, 30 pairs of socks and socks that, just hit the ankle and pom poms and this and that. No, I don't need all that.
Understood. Um, I really okay. There's three on this page, 407. I'm just gonna go ahead and share my insight or my thoughts on these wonderful Black Excellent compensatory quotations. First one is many white supremacists, racist men, and racist women collectively enjoy killing and maiming so much that they sometimes kill and maim each other for no reason other than that they are bored. When they get bored with killing non-white people, they often kill each other in order to test or improve their skills. And this reminds me of a report I heard on this event called the Redneck Rave, where white people just kind of went back to like the ancient days of just like, someone's neck got sliced. I think someone died. There was like hundreds and hundreds of arrests and drug use. It was just total chaos. White on white violence, just barbarism basically happening at this concert. And I'm like, oh wow, it's happening. This is what white people love to do. Just harm each other for fun. It's really interesting. I think there's tons of evidence that white people enjoy that this quote is quite true. Another quote I really enjoy is if you are a person who refuses to do justice, you need not tell me who you are. I know who you are. You're a person who refuses to do justice. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want her name, man. If you're not trying to solve this problem, I don't need to know her name, sir, ma'am. I'll just call you sir, ma'am, and keep it pushing. And yeah, codification, saving as much time and energy for the problem and not um, entities or things that are not related to that. And most certainly, a person who's not working to produce justice is not related to. It's not a good use of time and energy in interacting with those folks, unless it's for a constructive purpose. And then another epic quote is if you think, again, these are from 407, if you think that killing people is and should be great entertainment, then kill yourself. And I don't know how many other scholars have suggested such profound and excellent advice for the crazed afflicted minds out there. But this is a very great suggestion for folks who just think violence and it's just something that we should have on planet Earth and something that we should have normalized, have made fun entertainment. And I'm gonna again see if folks want to share some quotes before I continue.
Race is racism. A person who functions as a member of a race is a racist white supremacist. And it's so hard to get non-white victims to see this because I think I think I was told ever since birth that the human race, human race, always told that. And so when they hear, plus it's in the word, race is in the word, and we still don't get it. It's still very hard for us to get that, and it's a bit frustrating at times. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I remember as a wee lad, as a child, I would remember, well, as a younger child, I would remember that race, and I would always tie that the like race in regards to like I'm a member of a race, everyone's a member of a race. I would my brain computer would always just tie that to racing. I'm like, are we supposed to be like racing against each other? I would always have thoughts like that, but then all the messages I got from the world was like, we're all individual people, we're all just judging our character. But then I would think then, why well, then why am I in the African American race or whatever classification I was calling myself at the time? So it's really sad that even though literally race, we call ourselves a race, and neither Fuller asked, what are we racing against? And it's white people are racing against us, and we have refused to see and admit it, that reality, and do what needs to be done about that reality. But effective numbers will be achieved. 408, it says, the code says, Neely Fuller Jr. says, during the existence of white supremacy, every non-white person is a child, and every white person who practices white supremacy racism is a master child abuser. And you know, no ifs, ands, or buts. This is what it is. If you are a white person, it's even more so if you're a white person having engagements, having arrangements and sexual arrangements with non-white people, you're a sick rapist. A sick rapist white supremacist is what the best classification that you should be okay with calling yourself and admitting that you are, if you're a white person who practices white supremacy. So I think if more non-white people were aware of their position, they would be able to see white people, suspected races, in their from a correct, with a correct perspective. We're supposed to just how now just how white people look at black people and get a set of ideas on. Oh, I'm looking at this. Maybe I'm looking at a more smarter black person. Maybe I'm looking at one of the gangster black persons, or maybe I'm looking at one of the athletes, black person, which is all code for nigger. Basically, what kind of black person am I looking at? White people are able to look at us and they know, and or they either know or they're able to ask a set of questions to get an idea of what who they're dealing with. So black people needed some sort of counter code that we're able to look at white people at the bare minimum, at least see we're dealing with a like potential enemy, someone who doesn't work to produce a system of justice, someone who possibly maintains and is working to refine the system of white supremacy. So we need to understand what we're dealing with and look at white people how they should be looked at. Um, Another one, oh, bam, here we go. Here we go. Another one that suggests some some someone say harsh words from 408. Those who seek to glorify thugdom by acting as thugs and or by being thugs should expect to be dead as soon as possible and probably should be. And it's not uncool to say this, but damn, sounds a bit tough to be saying about victims, but I understand it. I understand it. A lot of victims who have been given this thug mentality, they may do more harm against uh, victims who are attempting to live a constructive life. They may do more harm on those groups of victims versus their so-called enemies and their thugdom fantasy or and their gang lifestyles. So to spare more loss of constructive Black life. Of course, people who are entertained or wanting to go out and kill, white or Black, those people should not exist. They should end their existence before accidentally ending the existence of someone else or intentionally ending the existence of someone else. Before they do that, they should kill themselves. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Um, just think about the mass shooters who would have killed themselves instead of all the people they killed. We would have saved a lot of generations would have been saved, I suspect. Um, 408 again, during the existence of white supremacy, trying to replace white supremacy with justice is the most logical way for every person to use his or her time and energy, and as such should be regarded as his or her major assigned duty. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense. We did not come to this planet to be we did not come to this planet to realize we're literally some sort of people blender that just destroys us and just makes us these monsters, these abominations that want to do anything and everything but think seriously and solve a problem. We should not be complacent in what's happening, and just by changing our use of words, the way we think, and the things we do, we can do so much to retard the system. It just needs to be done consistently, and an effective number of non-white people need to do it. And because everyone wants to follow Black people, it seems that Black people will be the ones that have to be the ones who actually not lead the way, but lead by example by practicing Black self-respect and no longer participating in what every non-white, non-Black person and white person and Black person seems to enjoy, which is like ghetto culture. If Black people stop practicing ghetto culture, that could do so much to retard the system. And then maybe so-called Asians, the so-called Latinos, so-called Hispanics, whatever these creations are, perhaps they will also get on board, and the non-white collective can solve the problem by no longer participating in the silly behavior we've been trained with. So it's everyone's duty, not just Black people, but I think Black people have to be the ones to lead the way by example, because it just does not seem that anything's been done elsewhere. But I may be incorrect. I actually hope I am, but we shall see.
I have one. At the end of the day, ask yourself, what have I done today that was of constructive value? I find this to be one of the most important questions to ask yourself every single day, all day long. I think if you can just at least say, out of all the things that you've done, 90% of it was constructive, or even 80, whatever you would like to do, is some sort to acknowledge, because I think like sometimes we go throughout our days and we don't realize the little things that we do that is constructive. And we're like, oh, I didn't even realize I read today that long. Or, oh, I didn't even realize I did that. I forgot. Or, because sometimes you get to the end of the day and you're just like so tired. And you're just like, dang, what did I do all day? But also when you get to the end of the day and you're like, wow, I didn't do anything today that was very constructive, that you still have time or you still have a moment to add constructive value. So maybe you can work on your book, maybe you can read, maybe you can do some exercising or things of constructive value that you find to be of constructive value, just implementing it. So once you ask yourself that, it gives an opportunity to open your mind and to start either continue what you're doing or change what you're doing and add what you're doing. So great question.
Thank you, Ms. Alaya. That was very, very, very much agree. It's very important to give ourselves that acknowledgement, that affirmation, that pat on the back for just being attempting to be constructive and accomplishing constructive tasks and doing constructive things for our minds and bodies and souls as well. So definitely agree. Thanks for sharing. 409 from the attempted counter racist soldier, Navy Fuller Jr., victim of racism as well. Unfortunately, too many Black people are silly about those things that are serious and serious about those things that are silly. And I still fall victim to this sometimes, but I admit that in the past it was much more severe. The time and energy I was spent on nonsense and not on anything of constructive value. It was just pitiful. You know? Like I'm just gonna give an example. Like spending hours learning how to play a video game versus going out and getting some books to read, and spending hours participating in violent sports, like not like regular sports, but sports called suicide that involve like throwing a tennis ball, multiple tennis balls to a handball court, and if a tennis ball hits you, you were allowed to be brutalized. And I would play this with fellow associates, and we would just beat each other up. We spent a lot of time energy beating each other up for fun, and it's really serious business. We made all these rules and like all these intricate like like policies to this game, and it was just wild nonsense. You know, we're very serious about it, and it's just pitiful to say the least. Yeah, exactly what kind of game is that? It's a game monsters created by the system of white supremacy. Um, and I think that's a great segue into this next one. Is that study everything, brag about nothing, celebrate nothing. If you insist on brag about all the times that you learn about how ignorant you are. Oh, like this is a Black slang. This is yeah, we all should share. If you want to like brag, we should definitely share on all the incorrect ways we have been taught to behave and how we have corrected that thinking. You know, we should definitely share examples of how what racist men and racist women have done to us to make us what we were, and how we have attempted to correct those behaviors, because we definitely have nothing to celebrate. We should be studying many things under this system. We often do not, because we have been trained to have a great aversion to books. You know, I thank my victim of it for making sure I knew how to read, but as for making me read and have a curiosity for reading, definitely failed at that. But she's coming from perhaps a generation where a lot of Black males, Black females probably couldn't even read. And she communicated to me that she was the only one in her friend group that actually went to the library and read books. So yeah, we definitely have been trained away from wanting to be studious people, but that should be a goal of ours. We should want to add that to our characteristics immediately. There's just so many brilliant quotes in here. I suggest everyone going to producejustice.com so you're able to have access to the full code and join the war effort to end the war or produce a system of justice, guaranteeing no one is allowed to be mistreated, and those who need help receive constructive help. Very simple solution to a very insidious problem. I'm going to pause again before I say my last two quotes to see if others wanted to share.
Yes, I had two that I wanted to share from page 408. This one's a pretty simple one. Never make a criticism without making a constructive suggestion. I felt that this one was very important. Oftentimes for me, myself, personally, I can criticize without making a constructive suggestion. And I personally realize like I don't I don't like to be criticized, especially if there is no constructive suggestion. Not saying I'm not open to criticism, but if you are going to criticize, I would much greatly appreciate if you have a constructive suggestion that would follow. And then where's this other one? Oh, and then the last one on 408, where if you rearrange the language, you can also rearrange the way people think, speak, and act. I thought that that one was very important because a lot of times I find myself trying to find the correct words to say when speaking to other people. And I think that's because, you know, I want people to think a certain way when I say what I'm about to say. So hearing that was kind of reinforcing and really shows that it's important, especially when using words, how words can really affect the way that somebody thinks, speaks, and acts. That is all I have for right now. Ooh, hold on. And then another one on 409, which says either Black people are inferior to white people or the white supremacists, racist men and racist women collectively are to blame for Black people's problems or both. I remember a time when I was discussing racism, white supremacy with my attempted father. It got to a point where I just kind of was like, well, either Black people are inferior to white people or racism exists. Which one is it? So are we going to continue to live our lives as slaves to white people, slaves to racism, or are we actually going to do something about the problem? So I thought that one's really good because especially when you're saying that to another non-white person, especially a Black person or even a white person, it's those are really the only options, right? It's either Black people are inferior to white people or Black people are inferior, are not inferior. Black people are in the condition they are in because of racism. So either you blame racism or you blame the inferiority, the innate inferiority of Black people. So, which is it? If it, and I need you to say it, so I know where you're at. That's it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Kwaku. Very, very well said. From 410, never think that you are indestructible. You may be dead before the end of this day. I think the system does a great job at confusing white and non-white people to the degree that sometimes they may feel indestructible. I think they may call it some sort of. I think they may call it a God complex. And I know I most certainly have ingested things into my body that have made me feel indestructible, and it has placed me in really dangerous situations, to say the least. So yeah, our people are quite vulnerable creatures and quite quite easily destroyed and harmed because we are very, very mortal. So we should understand that reality and be very cautious. Understand that the system of white supremacy is very dangerous. So behave accordingly, to say the least. Again, 410 again. To some slaves, slavery is not only in some forms more comfortable and convenient than justice, but also more prestigious. And perhaps a result of this quote being in existence, or this quote being true, is that white people have done such an amazing job at creating all these titles for themselves, for non-white people, creating all these awards and ceremonies and congratulations and celebrations for all a number of things. So this has created the idea that something can be this thing called prestigious, because prestigious just means like some sort of high renown. And you get high renown by having a lot of accolades. The accolades are just, white people saying good job, good job, fellow white person, or good job, nigger, depending on, who's getting awarded or who's getting celebrated or getting congratulated. So they made it more probably sensational to be in a system of white supremacy, because at least you get to get all this I don't know, glamour, all this all these titles bestowed upon you by doing by supporting white supremacy in various ways, basically. And a system of justice would should put everyone on a field where we're just trying to help each other and make sure no one's being mistreated. And someone may easily think, well, where's the fun in that? Where's the fun in, no drama, no prestige, like how who's gonna be celebrated if we're all doing the same thing, trying to, make sure no one's being mistreated, no one's being and everyone's getting constructive help. Who's gonna be celebrated and awarded and remembered? I'm like, geez, these are very vain thoughts. But in the system of white supremacy, this is how we've been trained. So this quote is very, very significant, I suspect. And again, I may be incorrect. And perhaps I'll leave the floor for folks to chime in if they haven't shared all their quotes they wanted to share, or we get into closing comments.
Every problem I've ever had and every mistake I've ever made can be traced to racism. That quote really sticks out to me because when I think back, even like to work, the reason why I'm being mistreated at work is because of racist man and racist woman. And even when I'm being mistreated by a non-white person at work, it's because racist man and racist woman have trained that person to mistreat me or other non-white people so that, they can get ahead or for entertainment. Like they feel like they have to do it because, racist man or racist woman is going to promote them or give them a pat on the head or whatever. And the reason why my family is so dysfunctional and I don't have a very good relationship with my attempted mom is because of the stress of racism, the stress that racism has caused to my attempted mother. And because of that stress, she wasn't able to parent me, or how could I put it? Yeah, she wasn't able to be the parent that she was meant to be because of that stress. And that also goes for my attempted father. Yeah, it touched so many. Also dealing with education, and my kindergarten teacher, the first teacher that I ever had in school was a white woman, Miss Han. And it was like, wow, it's just housing. It touches every area of my life. And yeah, and I used to blame myself and really be hard on myself because of it, because of racism, but not knowing that it was racism. I was just like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not trying hard enough. I'm not studying hard enough. It was always me, me, me. But now, learning about racism, I could ease up on myself, and I know it's not me. That's all.
Thanks for sharing, Miss Helen. That is very, very significant. That's very my total reality as well. And I suspect many, 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 if not all victims, all of their problems, all of their traumas, all of their incorrect relationships and dynamics between them and their attempted parents. It has all been sabotaged because of racism, race, white supremacy, and the lack of justice. So I think if more non-white people could just, it could be even be a relief for the majority of non-white people to finally have a understanding. Oh wow, it's not my that my family is just destined to be you know pitiful and mistreating me and so unloving and seemingly unloving. It's because, oh well, first of all, love is not real because white supremacy has sabotaged all of us, has made us all insane monsters. To say that, just that's just what it is. And it could allow us to, understand, okay, my victim unit has been sabotaged, I've been sabotaged. The problem is white people. Us as a victim unit should be focused on, repairing this by producing a system of justice. Because we should not be living in a world where like our skin color determines and is going to result in so much trauma. Just so stupid, so simple. It's a simple concept, base everything off skin color, but the ramifications of it are so dire and so just so traumatic and just terroristic. And the effects it has on black people are unlike no other. We're really out here doing bad because we lack understanding, and our will has been so disrupted and corrupted, to say the least.
Agreed. I wanted to comment on what Ms. Helen shared. That is something that I've experienced similarly in my time. Just recently, my relationship with my attempted parents has started to deteriorate as well due to racism and their, I guess, decision to not try and understand it. A lot of times, when discussing the problem, I'm not, blaming them for anything. I'm just trying to get them to understand that, it's racism, white supremacy that has created these conditions, not kind of, but definitely has created conditions that we live under. And I'm not blaming you for anything, but for them, they don't see it that way. To them, it seems like I'm just pointing the finger at them. And so that is also something that for a very long time I thought was unique to me. But as I've recently come to understand, many, 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 many other non-white Black people especially have experienced that with their attempted parents as well. So I wanted to comment on that. I do have another quote to share if that's okay, O5. So on page 409, this one, it says, it has been said that the race problem cannot be solved. It can only be discussed. If the race problem cannot be solved, there is no reason to discuss it. And this was another good one. I've been using these quotes kind of like throughout. Had a lot. This was another one I used with my attempted parent, my attempted father, when we were talking about the race problem. So why do people get on CNN all day, every day, talk about racism if you believe that it cannot be solved or there's no point in trying to solve it? Why are people talking about it if nothing can be done about it? If there's nothing that can be done about it, why are we wasting so much time discussing it? So can this problem be solved or not? If not, why are we giving up? Why am I? Why are we giving so much energy to it then? If it cannot be solved, if you feel it cannot be solved, why are you giving up all this energy? I think it can be solved, but if you as somebody tells me that it cannot be solved, then why do you spend so much time discussing it or even picking a side? So I thought that was a very important one. And kind of from my experience, when you use that one, it really makes Black people think, because I am sure that Black people are fully aware that the race problem is being talked about all the time, 24/7, especially when you tune into CNN. Yeah, you will definitely find somebody talking about it. There was another one on here. Actually, I think that was it for right now. Mute my line.
Hello, I want to go back to the first code. I think Nana Ya brought this up. If you don't understand, if you do not understand white supremacy, racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. And I want to kind of break it down for those since it's going to be on YouTube. Like, for example, let's say we're talking about police brutality. We're talking about reform. If you don't understand racism and how eliminating, ending injustice, racism will end these the police brutality, then talking about reform, it means nothing. Reform, defunding, those are just code words, and it's not going to do anything. You're not doing anything as far as like, okay, the law goes and someone being arrested and getting like 20 years for some minute minor crime. So you understand what I'm saying? Like it it's in so many different areas. Racism, it touches so many different areas that just hitting one area is not going to do it. You have to eliminate it, end it all together. Am I making sense? Can somebody else
Yeah.
elaborate? Because I'm not really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I totally understand that example, and I like to give another one, and it's going to be related to sports. I don't consume sports, but I know a lot of black people do. So, for example, you're a black person, you spend a lot of time and energy watching sports. You're constantly hearing like that this athlete has this raw power, this aggressive power. You're constantly hearing this these words being applied to black athletes, such and saying they have such tremendous athletic ability, and when you read something like the Cold War, you can understand that these are our codes, which is basically saying, oh, wow, this is one strong nigger, basically, is what is being communicated there. And then when a white athlete is described, they'll say that this person is so methodical, how he uses his mind to dominate the field, whereas again the black athletes are just using raw power, brute strength, stuff like that. And if you're just unaware of the codes and messages being sent out, it's just going to be a black person there just being fed all this racism, not understanding any, not understanding. You're going to be talking about sports, and you're going to be like possibly even describing athletes the same way white people do, and you may be a black male, black female who is saying things like, yeah, Kevin Durant or LeBron, yeah, they're beast, they're beast on the court, not understanding how racist that is, because if you don't understand racism and white supremacy, we're not able to think clearly about what's being said, and what does what's being said mean, you know. And I may be doing a poor job at explaining, but that was my attempt. I hope it was understood.
I think everyone is doing a constructive job of attempting to explain. We're going to have to work towards justice, doing various different things. There's no one thing that can be done. We're going to have to first change our behaviors and get other victims to see that there is a problem and get them to change their behaviors. That's not going to be any one thing that we can do. That's why there are 9 different areas of activity. And so we shouldn't be discouraged at that. It's all a balancing act. I'll be my line.
Yep. As long as you're planning the next battle, the war is not lost. Story quotations. Thank you, Junior. Is there any more folks who would like to share comments, quotes, or shall we get into closing comments?
Avoid putting your trust in any person who makes you a promise that he or she does not keep. And we can avoid a lot of conflict as Black people by adhering to that suggestion also. That's on page 409.
Great one. Agreed. And also be serious with your promises. Don't even make promises if you're not a serious person. That's my suggestion. Um, I think we may be able to get into closing comments. I'll just go ahead and get us started. I thoroughly enjoyed this discussion, and also almost as much as reading these quotes. I think these are like precious tools in the form of words that have been given to us to use for ourselves to help our brain computers, and also just for us to share with other victims and suspected racists when the opportunity presents itself, which I will be, which I hope for me it is soon and often. But like I suspect hundreds of quotes in this section. I beg victims of racism to pick this book up and begin to assist in the war effort. The ICE paper says that this job, solving the race problem, is going to require people from all backgrounds. So no matter what kind of job you're doing, no matter what you're attempting to do, you should be also including counter racism, solving the race problem in your schedule, in your itinerary, through changing your thought, speech, and behavior. That's my closing comment. ProduceJustice.com, buy the book.
My closing comment suggestion: take the quotes, put them on index cards. Oh, like you don't have to use a whole bunch, maybe like 8, 9, 10, maybe 5. Write your favorite quotes on the index cards and wrap them around with a rubber band. Carry it in your purse, your book bag, and pull it out every once in a while when you're on your way to work, when you're on your way to school, coming home from going out to eat or whatever. Definitely take these quotes, and when you write them down, you put them to memory. You add, I don't know how to put it, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, suggestion: index cards, quotes, and 05. What's the name of the book again?
This book we're reading, The United Independent Compensatory Codes and Concept.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry for putting you on the spot. Okay. The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept Code Book by Neely Fuller Jr.
Yes. Should be in every victim's household dwelling. And also the ISIS papers. Yuru. Tons of books. I digress. Closing comments. Thanks for your blacktacular suggestion, Miss B.
I'll go. Thank you, everyone, for the constructive business meeting. And while you're doing the suggestion of putting the quotes on index cards in your purse or backpack, just remember you're allowed to have those things. And I'll end with the quote of on page 408, whoever dominates you also dominates everything that you claim is yours.
Uh, Go ahead, Nana. Yeah.
And then just for me to close out, it's nice to have a refresher of these quotes again, because obviously like these quotes are scattered throughout the entire book. So just having these main quotes and reading them in not in any order, but just seeing them all on the same page is definitely different. I like it. Also, the suggestion or also the comment earlier was made that if you just read these quotes, you kind of get the gist of the book, which I think is cool. So I would actually recommend like others, especially those who give themselves labels as such, like I don't read, can at least pick a few of these a day and just work through it and then attempt to read the book, hopefully. But also, I just find it that this book is very useful and I'm excited, or not excited. Well, I am excited, but I can't wait to continue on with the quotes. Thank you.
For my closing comment, this was a very constructive business meeting. I thoroughly enjoyed reading the quotes. As was mentioned, I think the quotes are very useful. They definitely get your brain computers thinking about racism, white supremacy, for sure. I'll just close out with this. Disappointment comes from incorrect expectations. And I look forward to the next business meeting. Thank you.
Very constructive business meeting. I learned a lot this evening, and I look forward to the next one. Drink more water.
Thanks, everyone.